Should the Integrity Commission remove the new acting director of corruption prosecution because of a friendship with the PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell? Those concerns have been raised. The new chair of the Integrity Commission has responded, and because it's the first time we're hearing from her, I'm doing a detailed look at her response. And boy, what a start. I'm Dionne Jackson Miller. Thanks so much for joining me. Time for tea. The Integrity Commission appointed experienced prosecutor Ranif Lawrence as acting director of corruption prosecution after Keisha Prince Kamika left. The governing Jamaica Labour Party has taken issue with the appointment because of this social media post by PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell. It looks like a picture taken at Mr. Lawrence's wedding, and the post says, "Over 20 years of friendship. Hail the mans of Block I, Chancellor Hall, congratulations." So the leader of government business in the House of Representatives, Ed Bartlett, and the leader of government business in the Senate, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, wrote to the Integrity Commission saying, "We don't like this." And the new chair of the Integrity Commission, Justice Carol Lawrence-Beswick, wrote back, and she says in summary, "Wanna go with this pile of Susan here, say, wanna expect me to do this?" Obviously, those weren't her words. That's my interpretation of what she said. And as I go through the letter, you can tell me if you agree with my interpretation or not, alright? So, I think it's a great letter in some respects. For the most part, I do have one important issue with it, which I'll get to in a little while. I thought the tone of the letter was faultless and flawless, and I thought the new chair was courteous, but at the same time, she's clearly saying, "We not jump because you say we must jump." So let's go to the letter so you can see what I'm talking about. So she first says, "I'm heartened by the fact that we share a belief in certain principles which you have embraced in your communication and which I regard as being fundamental to any interrogation by the Commission. These important principles were well expressed by you and I adopt them, namely, 1. We do not for a moment question Mr. Lawrence's professional qualifications. 2. We do not question any individual's constitutional right of association. 3. Nor do we seek to interfere in the operations of the Commission. 4. Justice should not only be done, but should be seen to be manifestly and demonstrably done. 5. The Integrity Commission's success depends greatly on public confidence and trust, which cannot be sustained if there is a perception of bias or other improper conduct of its affairs. 6. If fairness, professionalism, and justice are to be allowed to prevail at the Integrity Commission and to be seen to so prevail. 7. We trust that truth and justice will prevail." So you can see that what's happening here is that she's pulling from their letter. She's saying, you say you believe these things. I believe these things. And it's great that we agree. So if you play volleyball or watch volleyball, you get the sense that what is happening here is a setup for a spike. So the letter goes on to say, "We are therefore agreed that any such interrogation would have to be conducted as fairly, impartially, and transparently as possible. Justice would no doubt have to be done not only in the eyes of the parliamentarians, but also in the eyes of the persons against whom complaint or allegation is being made. A primary component of a carefully conducted interrogation is relevant, cogent evidence." Well, nobody can disagree with that, alright? So where's this going? She goes on. "The first concern to which you refer in the communication is regarding Mr. Ranif Lawrence's appointment as acting director of corruption prosecution at the Integrity Commission and his possible permanent appointment to the post. You provide that one basis for that concern is a social media post on January 26 this year by Dr. Dayton Campbell, which is being widely circulated and describing Mr. Lawrence as his friend of over 20 years. You conclude, based on your belief in the accuracy of the social media post, that any decision taken by Mr. Lawrence in respect of members of the political fraternity will certainly be open to question." Then she says, "In view of the fact that we agree that we do not question any individual's constitutional right of association, any question about his decision-making or suitability for filling that appointment must therefore be considered with that right in mind." So she's saying here, okay, you've asked for an interrogation, but we have to deal with that based on the principles that you yourself say you support. So she goes on to say, "Indeed, any decision taken by the Commission should be open to be questioned by the public, including political parties as to the manner in and the basis on which the decision was taken. A complete answer should be provided as far as the Integrity Commission Act allows. No doubt, your parliamentary colleagues will recall that it was your good selves who placed certain restrictions on what can lawfully be revealed by the Commission, stating at Section 56 of the Integrity Commission Act that a person concerned in the administration of this Act shall regard and deal with as secret and confidential all information, statutory declarations, government contracts, prescribed licenses, and all other matters relating to any matter before the Commission. She says that the Commission is mindful of the fact that its decisions are open to scrutiny and thus operates under the policy that any conflicts of interest are declared, and where they exist, the employee recuses himself or herself and thereafter has nothing to do with that particular matter. So on this conflict of interest point, this is actually the main difficulty I have with the letter. I'm assuming that this is saying that Mr. Lawrence declared his association with Dr. Campbell and the Commission decided it could be handled. Am I wrong? Are we to imply that or not? And this is my problem. I think on this point, the accusation that Mr. Lawrence's appointment is problematic because of his friendship with Dr. Campbell is something that we should have had a direct response on from the Integrity Commission chair. I think there's certainly enough information here for the Commission to be able to take a position. We saw the post. There's been a complaint. Either they already know exactly what is the nature of the relationship between the two men, or they can find out. But whatever decision they take needs to be explained, both to the parliamentarians who made the complaint as well as to the public. Because having said that your decisions are going to be open to scrutiny and that conflicts of interest will be declared, tell us what happened and what you decided. It sounds like they decided it's not an issue, but if that's the case, explain your reasoning and tell us point blank what the decision was. This can't be left to inference. This is too important, too contentious, and once the politicians have got involved like this, you need to make everything crystal clear. No room for misunderstanding. But back to the letter. So she also says, another basis for your concern about Mr. Lawrence's appointment to the post in question rests on what you describe as public record, that in late 2024, Dr. Campbell used a political platform to make particular comments about a case which, it subsequently came to public attention, was being considered for pursuit by the Integrity Commission. No doubt you will readily understand that your description above lacks sufficient details to allow me to determine of what you speak. In other words, she's saying, what you expect me to do with sus? The letter goes on. I note your next concern is about media reports which suggest that the contract of former Director of Corruption Prosecution was not renewed in the circumstance where she came under pressure to not seek renewal of her contract due to a lawful decision she made. Again, there's no reference to the particular decision that has caused your concern. See what I mean? She is saying, what you expect me to do with sus? She goes on to say the questions you wish to be interrogated are specified as being whether the former corruption prosecution director in fact came under pressure due to her lawful decision, from whence did that pressure emanate, and the extent to which that alleged pressure may have contributed to her not seeking renewal in the post, despite her being widely known to be of excellent repute in the conduct of her profession to date. She says it's clear that the answers to these require the input of the former corruption prosecution director herself, whose 5-year statutory term of office with the Commission has already ended. My attention has not been brought to any complaint or even comment made by her either to the Commission or to any other entity concerning the questions you asked to be interrogated. In order for there to be a fair, impartial, and transparent interrogation, there not only needs to be the specific questions which you have in fact posed, but equally importantly, there must be specific cogent information from which the interrogation can be commenced. And again, what you expect me to do with sus? She says, I also note your deep concern about widely circulated reports in both traditional and social media which suggest that a senior investigator resigned from the Commission after a statement she had submitted to the Commission was excluded from a report submitted by the Commission to the Parliament of Jamaica due to the intervention of an influential official at the Commission. You say further that the report suggests that the formal statement submitted by the investigator had raised serious concerns about unethical practices during the conduct of a certain probe of high public interest. Here again, you suggest that this matter be the subject of inquiry by the commissioners, or should greater independence be required in the interest of justice in the particular circumstances, any other relevant agency. More particularly, you state inquiry should be made as to whether these media reports are accurate, and if so, whether the official who allegedly ensured the exclusion of the statement in question from the report to Parliament is still employed to the Commission, and indeed, whether the individual misconducted himself in public office. Unfortunately, this concern, as outlined in your communication, is bereft of sufficient details to adequately inform an inquiry. The urgent intervention which you seek for prompt and thorough interrogation of the mentioned matters can only be fairly done with cogent specific information. And by now, you're supposed to can say it with me. What you expect me to do it, sus? Look, I think it's a great first statement for the most part. I think the new chair sounds open, very courteous, communicative, but I think it's also a clear signal, so you're not bully me. Having said that, I think it's also an important part of showing that you're opening and that you're listening, and not just say you're listening, that you explain your decisions with transparency, and I don't think this was done here. Because what happened next was entirely predictable, which is that the government parliamentarians then wrote right back saying, we're not satisfied. They said, regarding the issue of the acting corruption prosecution director, Mr. Ranif Lawrence, his close friendship with the PNP General Secretary and potential conflict of interest, we very humbly and respectfully remind of the sage decision of former Chief Justice, that's in Britain by the way, not here, former Chief Justice Lord Hewitt in the Queen against Sussex Justices, to which is attributed the fundamental principle of justice not only needing to be done, but to be seen to be done. In that case, even in the absence of direct evidence and or confirmation of interference, circumstances where justice did not appear to be done were fatal to a judicial decision being upheld. They said they maintain their view that the appointment to act or otherwise in the context of his publicly acknowledged close and 20-year friendship with the strenuously adversarial PNP General Secretary at minimum risks opening rulings by the Commission up to unnecessary suspicion. So that's a warning coming from them. They are saying, look, if you keep Mr. Lawrence in this position, don't be surprised when we come and raise concerns about rulings that he's going to make. They also said provision of proof in advance has never been the acceptable standard applied to the commencement of an investigation by a body such as the Integrity Commission, where an inquiry is made regarding damning allegations in the public space. But one of the things that the new chair did is remind them very, very clearly that the Integrity Commission does not work at the behest of politicians, because in her letter she had said, at the same time, I know I need not remind you of Section 6 of the Integrity Commission Act, which states in part, in the exercise of its powers and performance of its functions under this Act, the Commission shall not be subject to the direction or control of any other person or authority other than the court by way of judicial review. So what she's doing here is reminding the politicians, you can't tell what to do. But in saying right after, nonetheless, I hasten to add that I remain committed to open communication where the Integrity Commission is concerned insofar as the Integrity Commission Act allows. Actions of the Integrity Commission which cause you or the general public concern will receive urgent attention, provided that the Commission is given cogent and unequivocal information on which it can reply. I look forward to the Commission working together with the members of the Houses of Parliament in accordance with the laws of natural justice and above all, in strict compliance with the Integrity Commission Act as promulgated by your good selves. Our goal is the same, a corruption-free Jamaica. So she's saying we will listen, we'll respond, we have the same goal, but still the undeniable warning is there. We answer to you, right? She seems to be pulling in here the Integrity Commission Act and the secrecy provisions, but I don't see how that affects the concern about a potential conflict of interest in terms of an appointment to a position at the Commission. I don't see the relevance there. The big question right now is what's going to be the relationship between the new chair of the Integrity Commission and the Commission itself and the JLP parliamentarians. Are we going to be seeing the kind of tension and even hostility that we saw in the last part of the tenure of the former Chair Justice Seymour Panton. And we know all of that started when the Commission was refusing to certify the statutory declarations of Prime Minister Andrew Holness. So the first interactions between them, extreme courtesy on both sides. Is that going to last, or are we going to start to see tension and hostility developing? And at some point, could members of the public say, hold on, maybe it's not the Commission is the problem, maybe it's you. What do you think? Want your thoughts as always? Drop them below. Remember, keep it civil, alright? Please like the video, share it with someone you think might be interested, and of course subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet, and then click that notification bell so you know anytime I drop a new video. Alright, I'm Dionne Jackson Miller. Back to my tea.